Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy.
My Dreamy Alien Boyfriend, written by Leather and Chintz. I took refuge in the bathroom to eat my lunch. Ugh. If Kara would have just left me alone, life would be so much easier. I hate final year. As I ate, someone walked in and tapped on the stall door. Something peeked under the door. A phone. It's her. What a freak. A janitor bucket was rolled under the door. I barely had time to try and figure out what was going on before a loud noise sounded, and the terrible muck inside exploded all over me. I heard laughing as the footsteps retreated. My rage and frustration built up as I sat there in silence, until I finally screamed and kicked the bucket out of the store. I dumped my tray of food to the side. I didn't care. The awful stink of that muck filled my senses. It was in my mouth. I stepped out of the store, and the sudden movement broke the dam I had been struggling to hold back. Half-digested food and bile spewed everywhere as I doubled over. I tried to move back to throw up in the toilet, but turning caused another wave of spray everywhere. I couldn't stay on my feet. I dropped to my hands and my knees as my stomach cramped hard. It took nearly 10 minutes, but eventually I recovered. I looked at all of the mess. It had been violent, and splatter had gotten it everywhere as I swayed. Making my way to the least tainted sink, I washed my mouth out and cleaned my face and my hands, but otherwise didn't bother. I left everything behind and left the school. At home, in the rear yard, I stripped down, hosed everything off. I put my clothes in the laundry. I went for a shower. Thank goodness my parents weren't home. After brushing that awful muck out of my hair, I took my time getting dry. I always did like the heady floral scent of this hair scent. I rubbed it in and carefully dried myself off all over. Finally done, I considered staying home, but shook my head. I wanted to be alone, and my father would return home soon. I grabbed my crushed shoulder pack and tossed it hastily, made lunch into it, along with my phone and a backup battery. I put on some more comfortable clothes and my school uniform, as well as my mucking boots, and left the house. Living on the edge of town was a major advantage for me, since a friend of the family had some land they gifted me out in the swamp. It was only a 4-kilometer walk to the small shelter I had built, but it always was a difficult trip through the swamp. The ground was uneven, roots were tripping hazard, and there were sucking pools that you could be pulled down to your death if you weren't careful. Still, I loved the safety and the solitude. The only person who come out here willingly was me. It was a bad land, but it wasn't as dangerous as everyone seemed to think. I hadn't ever seen any of the supposed large predators that were said to dwell out there, and I didn't have to worry about anyone finding me and bothering me. I glanced around, more out of habit than actual concern, and disappeared around the corner into a hidden hut that I'd built. I was happy here. The sod roof and moss growing around it disguised the small home away from home, and even the door was hidden, cleverly hidden behind the bark of a fallen log. I had taken great pains to make sure that I could rest here comfortably. I glanced around and took stock. A small table, a chair, my hammock, a simple bugboard, a crate with my stuff, and the 3 small animals I had caught. They waited in their cages. I gave them their food and turned to the crate. I didn't want to rest today. I looked through my things, an old book about magic rituals, candles, crystals, a knife, chalk, salt, and a needle and a vial. The old book I'd purchased from the used bookstall sat on the floor of the small hut. I carefully drew a circle and the symbols from the book. I tied a cord around my arm and stuck the needle in my vein to fill the vial with blood. We might be weak in magic, but it was known that there were other beings with lots of power. I could make a deal for protection, or money, or something to make life better. I looked at the few meager offerings I had managed to collect. A few live animals, some small gold coins, and even a small vial of fresh blood. If that's what it took, it was even virgin blood, and most of the sources online said that was the strongest blood. I poured a thin line of salt, totally unbroken, around the circle. The book said that demons can't cross salt, so it seemed like a reasonable precaution. I also had crystals and black candles that I had bought. I arranged them around the circle. The book didn't say anything about crystals or candles, but it didn't feel mystical enough without them. I looked at the book. The book said I needed a demon's name to summon them, but I couldn't find any demons' names. I guess if I don't speak a name, I'll get a random demon. Oh well. One demon's probably the same as another. After lighting the candles, I winced as I pricked my finger with the knife and let the blood drip into the circle. It changed from a white to black, and I recited the dark and terrible words from the forbidden tongue written in the book. Bei einer Gottes wird beschworen, ich das bis mit zwei Rücken. Komm zu mir, wer auch immer, der einer, der meine Lenden kitzelt. I repeated the words over and over as the circle began to glow. A shadowy form began to appear. There was a bright blue flash, and when I looked again, there he was. The strange creature looked frail, but I knew I had to be careful. It looked at me with eyes like a hungry predator. I could feel its gaze looking up and down my body. It looked down at the summoning circle, then at the animals, then at the coins and the vial of blood. Its teeth flashed, and it spoke. What? Who are you? And why am I here? Oh, God! I'd forgotten I needed to talk to him. I want to make a deal. Oh, I'm listening. My heart pounded in my chest. Could this creature know how scared I was? Its gaze occasionally glanced to my chest, so it must be able to hear my heartbeat. I brought all these offerings in exchange for your help. I gestured to the animals and the items on the table, and I want your protection. I've been tormented at school non-stop for 2 years now. I don't get any peace or privacy at home. I just want to be safe. Is that all? Speak your deepest desires. I want someone to care about me. I want someone I can talk to, and who won't abandon me over the stupid rumors because of threats. The being's teeth flashed again as its lips pulled back into a mockery of a smile. I can offer you that. I don't know what I'm expected to protect you from, but I'll see what I can do. Relief washed over me as I felt the knot in my stomach lessen somewhat. And, you like my offerings? I'm not really interested in the animals, or the gold, and, I'm not sure what you expect me to do with the, is that blood? My voice quieted down as the knot came back, harder than ever. I could feel its piercing gaze, like a hunter staring down its prey. It's my blood. It's virgin blood. If that makes it more valuable. Your blood doesn't interest me, but I think I'll stay. You are an adult, aren't you, capable of making deals of this nature? I shivered as a sudden chill hit me. He doesn't want my offering. I tried my best to not think about the terrible things that he might demand. I'm still in school, but I became an adult 2 months ago. It stepped out of the circle, as if the salt wasn't even there. My blood ran cold as I backed away to the wall. Closer and closer it came. I tried to speak, but only a few words escaped my lips. How did the salt not stop you? He stopped and looked at me curiously. Salt? What are you talking about? Demons can't cross salt. How can you leave the circle? The creature paused a moment and looked down at his hands. It looked itself over, then ran its hands over its short hair. No, I'm not a demon. Pretty sure I'm still human. What's a human? It gave that toothy smile again. We're ape people, just like you appear to be a big tape person. What? I'm Irek. With a flourish of his right hand, it bent the arm in front of its waist and gave an elaborate bow. It is an honor to meet you, Irek. I am Callum Brewer. End of story.
The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 patrons and channel members. Alithia, Barky, Fudic Yol, Cam Maxwell, Caspar Onholtz, White Van 420, Lord Azrakal, Arcadian, and Oakfield.